On today's episode, we're going to go from this to this. All right, first things first, get the car up in the air and put it on jack stands. We're going to start by taking off this bottom bolt to the strut, 24 millimeter. All right, next we're going to take out these top two here and here. That should release the shock, and these are 13 millimeters. All right, now we want to start taking out the leaf springs. This is the leaf spring right here. It goes from one wheel to the other. And we'll start off by taking out these brackets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are also 13 millimeters. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna drop down this upper arm. This bolt here and here is 18 millimeter. I have my jack underneath supporting. And what I'm going to do is once the upper arm is completely loose, I'm going to lower down my jack and it's going to relieve the tension on the leaf spring. All right, upper A arm is loose, our shock is loose, our bottom brackets for the leaf spring are also loose, so I'm just going to drop this arm down. We should be able to pull out the leaf spring. All right, I went ahead and did both sides, loosened both sides, both upper A arms. And we can go ahead and pull the shocks out now. And you can see there's a gap in the leaf spring now, so it should be completely loose and should be able to just lift it right out. All right, so now we have everything taken off. This car has 130,000 miles on it. Doesn't look like its suspension's ever been serviced. All right, here we go. These are the rears. This is what's gonna be replacing everything. I'm not going to tell you the brand name. I'm sure some of you can guess by just the coloring. I was real disappointed with the service department of this particular company, and the only reason why I actually ended up still buying them was because the price point was about $300, $400 lower than all the competition, so it was in my price range. I actually had to end up going through one of their vendors to get it because they wouldn't respond to any of my emails. Right, so I've already put everything back together. Now I'm just going to torque everything down. We'll start with the shock. I'm going to start here, 24 foot-pounds, and then this one here, 74 foot-pounds. All right, this is all torqued up now, so now we'll do the upper A-arm, 48 foot-pounds. All right, all in. I'm just going to repeat this process on the other side. Very important that you make sure that both of your coilovers are the same length. So measure them real good from here to here. Make sure that you have the same gap here, and that they should be the same size. And after you get all that done, put your wheels on, lower it down, check your ride height, make sure you like it, and just have to remember that after you set it down, there's going to be a period where the springs or coilovers settle a little bit, so it may go even lower. So it's best just to overshoot just a little bit, and then as they settle, your car will eventually end up a little bit lower. So just keep that in mind. All right, so here we are up front. Basically, we're going to do the same thing. The one thing I'm going to do different is I'm going to take off the knuckle completely for the PDM knuckles. Also, I'm going to replace the outer tie rods and my lower ball joints because I know that they're bad on both sides. The only difference between the front and the back that I can tell so far is the top mounting for the shock. So you can see it right here. So go inside the engine bay, and there it is right there for the passenger side. Go around to the driver's side, and you have this coolant reservoir. And if you look, let's see, I think you're probably upside down. It's right there. Right there. So probably gonna have to remove this, or at least try to get it to the side a little bit. There's a bolt here and here. Hopefully that's it, and I can just kind of move it to the side a little bit, and then we can get that top All right, first things first, we took off the brake calipers. It's two 15mm bolts. Next, we're going to disconnect the outer tie rod. It's an 18mm, and you might have to put a, let's see, was this a 6, I believe? Yes, a 6 to hold it in place, like so, and then you can loosen the nut, and you should be able to just pull it out. If not, you can use a pickle fork to get it the rest of the way out. And from there, I'm going to remove the upper knuckle bolt and then the lower, and then the knuckle itself should just pull right off. Okay, so basically there was two 15mm bolts holding on the caliper, two 21mm bolts holding on the bracket for the caliper, and now we're going to take off the inner tie rod. You can see I already have the PBM knuckles on, but since I have to take them back off to do the ball joints, you'll see the whole process to install them. So I guess this is also an angle kit install video, 2 videos in one, but all right, so we have an 18mm wrench and a 6mm Allen key to remove the outer tie rod. All right, it's free now. I went ahead and cracked this nut right here a little bit before I removed this bolt. Just give me this nut right here. It makes it easier, so once you pull it down, see, you should be able just to spin this off, and you can see how bad shape this in. So, especially with me drifting on it, it needs to be replaced. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and remove the rest of the knuckle. First thing you want to do is disconnect this plug. Should be able to just pop it right off. The bottom nut is a 21mm. It also has a space if it's spinning around for a 6mm Allen key. And then the top bolt right here also has a spot for an Allen key, and it's 18mm. So we're just going to remove those two, and the knuckle should just pop right off. Okay, here we are. I got the knuckle off. The bottom one, I just used a pickle fork and just hammered it in there and kind of wedged it out. You don't want to do that with a new ball joint because it'll tear the boot up and it could possibly ruin your ball joint. I knew this one was already bad, so that's what I used. See, right here. So we're going to replace this one. The PDM knuckle came with a new ball joint. See, it's a lot more firm here. So if you are replacing your knuckles, you're gonna have to take your wheel bearing out, which is here. So it's these 3 bolts, which are, let's see, T55 Torx bit. So you'll just take those out, take the wheel bearing out. It's like a speed sensor or something, some kind of sensor that is attached to it. And so you'll just move that over to your new knuckle. And then I went ahead and removed these. Be careful because the leaf spring has tension on them. There's a 13mm underneath here and a 13mm right here. Like I said, be careful because leaf spring is creating tension. So stick a jack underneath here and hold it in place. And then after you get the nuts out of the bottom, then lower the jack down slowly because this is under tension from the leaf spring. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the shock. From up there is a 15mm up there, and then we can continue. All right, so I got my ball joint press set up. All I got to do is just start cranking on this, and it'll push the ball joint through. So let's see if it'll work here. Let's see if I can get it steady. It's out. Now, basically you put the new one in the reverse order. You push it up through, and then you have a new ball joint. And then after we get the new ball joint in, we'll continue with the coilover install. It turns out on the other side, I did not need to take the reservoir out. I just snuck a ratcheting wrench through here and held the top of the nut with a very, very small adjustable wrench, because if you don't hold it, if you don't hold the screw, not screw, but basically the base of the shock absorber, see if I can find it. Right here. You gotta hold the tip. Focus, focus. Right there. You gotta hold the tip. It's slotted so you can hold it with the wrench. So basically I just snuck a wrench through there and a ratcheting wrench on the nut and was able to get it off. Let's see, the ratcheting wrench is a 15 adjustable wrench, and then I was able to get it off. All right, new ball joints pressed in. So now we're gonna tackle getting out the leaf spring. It's just like the back. So there's 2 brackets underneath. Right there, you can see that one, and the other one's on the other side. We're just gonna relieve those bolts off the brackets, and then do all this to the other side, and the leaf spring should come right out. So we'll get all that done and we'll get back. All right, so here it is all finished up. The back tire, I'm not sure if I'm gonna lower the back a little bit more or not. The back tires right there are bald, so the tire with some full tread might feel the gap a little bit. Plus, it hasn't settled yet, so I think I'm just gonna let it settle and then reevaluate. Tomorrow I'm taking it to get alignment done. Overall, not too bad. It took me 6 hours, I'd say, to do everything. That includes ball joints and tie rod ends, so not terrible. If I had the help, I definitely could have got it done a lot quicker, but I think it looks a lot better. The front is definitely lower. We'll see how the speed bumps and everything go, but not too bad. We'll see how it handles, and I appreciate you watching.